Hey everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Today, look at this big patriotic red, white, and blue Enjoy by Unfiltered IPA from Stone Brewing, 7/4/19. They want you to have this by the 4th of July. So, very colorful can. And guys, today is the 24th of June, so we're in under the wire on this one. They want you to have it within 37 days of canning it. We're a week or so away from the 4th of July, so we're under the wire here on this one. And I bought this at the beer store Saturday. Today is Monday, so I've only had this 2 days. So went across town. Well, I didn't. My wife did. She was off. I was working, and she went over there and picked up some stuff for me over there. This is not, they call it an unfiltered, but it's not supposed to be like a New England style beer by any means. This is a West Coast style beer. And when I first started drinking these Enjoy by series, I thought they were the best thing I've ever tasted. I mean, I gave them 10s across the board many times. And then as I started getting some of the New England style beers, and those aromas and tastes are off the chain, more so than this. And I kind of took grades away from it, and I probably shouldn't have. You got to grade it for what style of beer it is. They're not saying it's a New England style beer. And Stone is out of Escondido, California. I consider this a West Coast style beer. And for a West Coast style beer, these beers are very, very tasty. They're 9.4%, which puts it into the Imperial or Double IPA, but they are not cheap beers to buy. A 6-pack of this is like $16 and something, which is rather pricey. But it is an Imperial, and it is a very nice example of an Imperial IPA. So let's see what this one brings to the table. Like I said, this is about as fresh as I could get it. I'm actually surprised that they still had some at Martin over at the Barrel Chest. So we shall see. We shall see. I'm going to be as honest as I can, but I'm going to grade it for being a West Coast style and not a New England style. So with that being said, let's jump over to Untapped, and they have it at 94 IBUs, which is fairly a lot for a double, but it could be a lot higher. I mean, I've seen doubles over 100 IBUs or even 120 IBUs. Commercial description for this beer, and they have this one listed as 7/4/19, this particular one, with a picture of this can on their site, where Beer Advocate just clumps them all together. For this version of Stone Enjoy by IPA, we thought we don't always have a filter, so why should our beer? By skipping a step and letting this devastatingly fresh golden hued double IPA go unfiltered, the beer takes on a hazy appearance, and its peach and tropical fruit aromas are intensified. So though it may sound like it, this misstep was no misstep. Like other IPAs in this series, this version is brewed specifically not to last. And I don't know how they would do that. They just want you to have as fresh as possible, guys. This beer is still going to be good probably 3 months down the road. But the fresher it is, the more hop taste and aromas you're going to get, which is what they want. That's why they put a 37-day on it and do it accordingly. So, and I feel that way on all my IPAs and double IPAs. I want to have them within the first 37 days as possible, because you're going to get more hop taste and aroma. That's just common sense. That's the way it works. So let's get into this one and see. This was packaged on May the 28th. So 37 days from that would be July the 4th. And we're under the wire, being the 24th of June, so. Not too hazy coming out of the can, but it does look rather carbonated, so I probably shouldn't pour it so aggressive. And being unfiltered, a lot of times it does make it real hazy, but sometimes it doesn't. I don't use a filter on mine when I brewed, but using a two-step process, and from original fermentation to a secondary, all of that stuff drops out of it, and they come out fairly clear, even though it's unfiltered. So it is what it is. About 2 fingers of head on that pour. It has a slight haze to it, but not much. Doesn't look like an unfiltered beer to me, but like I said, it probably is. I'm not going to tell you that it's an unfiltered beer if it's not. But it is definitely not a super cloudy, hazy looking New England style beer. And they're not claiming it to be. So I just want to reiterate that. Because I have in the past knocked points away because it wasn't like a New England style beer. So I was misjudging it. So I'm going to grade this on for a West Coast style beer. So nice lacing from that aggressive original initial pour. Good looking beer. I mean, it is a good looking beer, guys. It is. To the nose we go. Very, very pleasant hop aromas. I'm getting grapefruit, pine, pineapple, hints of mango, oranges, maybe even some peaches in there. Smells very good. I'm about to drool on myself. It smells so good. But like I said, not a cheap beer to buy, but it's a 9.4% and it's 12 ounce in a 6-pack, where they have done bombers before and 16 ounce cans before, so not a cheap beer to buy, but smells awesome. Let's dive in. Cheers. Very tasty, and I am getting those 94 IBUs. It has a strong bitterness to it, guys. This, if you're trying to get into IPAs or even double IPAs, this would probably not be the first one I would jump in, even though it has a pretty substantial hop aroma and taste, but it has a lot of bitterness to go with it. So if you don't like that hop bitterness, this probably wouldn't be a good candidate to jump into unless you're used to large amounts of IBUs or bitterness in your double IPAs. For a West Coast style double IPA, it's pretty damn tasty. It's pretty damn tasty. Probably not something that I would buy regularly, but they don't produce it regularly. They do these like every month or two or whatever. So I'm not sure if the last one was in April 4/25. So if the last one was 4/20, I think, and this one's 7/4. So you can do the math yourself there, in between the two batches there. But they want you to have it in a 37-day period. That's why they say enjoy by this date, which is 37 days, not 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 months like a lot of breweries put on theirs to sell more beer. So let me sip on this, and we'll come back and figure out where it's going to end up. Alright guys, I'm back. Got a little left here. For what it is, which is a West Coast style double IPA, it is a very tasty beer, guys. It's definitely not into the New England style, and they're not claiming it to be. So I'm going to judge it accordingly. For a West Coast style double IPA, it is very tasty. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought a 6-pack of these at $16 or something for a 6-pack. Very pricey, a little bit more than I like to spend for a 6-pack of beer, even though it's a double IPA. I hadn't had a fresh one in a while, so I decided to bite the bullet, so they say, and go ahead and pick these up. And it is a very nice beer. Not a tin beer to me, but damn close. For the style that they say it is, doesn't look like an unfiltered beer to me, but yeah, depending on how they brewed it, a lot of that stuff falls out. And it looks pretty clear to me. It had a slight chill haze to it, but Definitely not what a typical like a New England style looks like. It didn't look like orange juice or anything like that. But for West Coast style, pretty tasty. Final chug. To me, guys, it's an A beer, and that's where I'm going to put it. I've had tastier double IPAs, but for what it is, being a West Coast style, and they're claiming it unfiltered because it has unfiltered on the bottom of the can, it doesn't look that unfiltered to me. And of course, my beers, like I said earlier, my beers are not filtered when I brew them, but I use a two-step process from a primary fermentation bucket and then to a secondary, and all that falls out. More than likely, that's what's happened here. And the closer, depending on the size of the tank, the closer it gets to the bottom, the more cloudy it's going to be. If this 6-pack was bottled from the top or the middle, it's not going to be that cloudy. But once I get to the bottom of it, it's going to have a little more cloudiness to it. So, tasty beer. A for me, guys, 95. That's where I'm going to put it. Very enjoyable beer. And still have a few more left to sip on. And I'll try to have them as fresh as possible. So with that being said, we'll run over to Beer Advocate. They say 4.33 in their outstanding range. That's about where I'm putting it, guys. That is in their A category also. Not the best numbers from that side, but very decent, very impressive. And over to Untapped. Untapped has it at 3.99. That's not even to their A category. That's one notch away from their A category. Their top number and their B+. I think it's a little better than that, guys. It is. But I'm judging it for what it is. It's not claiming to be anything other than a West Coast style beer, and that's what it is, and it's very, very tasty. And you say, oh my God, it's a 10 beer, I would not argue with that. If you've not had a Northeastern or a New England style beer, those have a lot more aroma and a lot more hop flavor to them, where the West Coast style is probably next in line to that. So I do enjoy both beers. So very tasty beer. It's worth picking up if you can get your hands on it, especially if you like this style of beer. So with that being said, if you've had this done, enjoy by 7/4/19, July 4th, 2019. Let me know what you think. Till we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge.